Facebook, Sandra Madaffrey, and I've decided to do a really early live this morning. This is something that I don't do usually early in the morning, but I've got some time before I see my first client, and I thought I'd love to jump on and talk a little bit about what happened to me yesterday and some of the things that I sort of, when I did a bit of a review of yesterday, which I have been thinking about how I sort of coped and am using these tips to, good morning Kylie, to push through it. So I had a very interesting day yesterday. I had a day where from the moment I got up in the morning till literally until I went to bed last night, everything just snowballed into just things going wrong. So I'm the sort of person, I get up, I like to have my routines in the morning and have my day pretty much planned, and it does help to actually have a planned day when things begin to go wrong. And then things began to absolute snowball yesterday, with me spending over an hour trying to work out why I can't get people to see my replay of my Zoom videos. And for any of you who are on those email lists, I am sending through an email either later tonight or early tomorrow morning with all the links. I've put those videos all in YouTube now. To then not being able to get my laptop to work, not being able to get Facebook Live video to work, starting to formulate an email at 3 times, and then still one of the, after I tested it, one of the links didn't work. So it was one of those days that by the time I went to bed at about 11 o'clock last night, which is pretty late for me, it was like, I'm really ready to get into bed tonight, and I've had the day. So it was really funny. So I woke up this morning and I did some reflection. I love to journal at night, and I journal in the morning. And when I do my journaling, I allow myself to do automatic writing, which means that a lot of things come up for me. And one of the things that I realized that I was that I guess made it so difficult for me to accept some of the things that happened yesterday was part of my perfectionism still. And I used to be a really great one at having to be perfect, and everything needs to be perfect, and using that perfection excuse not to allow myself to sort of get out there or do things or take the risks because things were never perfect. I'd love to know, there's a few people watching here, let me know in the comments if you have had some of those ideas of non-perfection and not doing things because it's not going to be perfect, not putting yourself out there, or even not doing live videos like this because it might not be perfect. So I used to suffer from that quite a bit until I started to actually realize through some of my automatic writing that I had those sorts of issues. And so I went into having a look at what can I do to change those issues around. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is when we do have perfectionism, we do tend to put ourselves under a lot of pressure. And today I want to talk a little bit about pressure, putting ourselves under pressure, and where is that all coming from, and some real practical tips to help you, you know, to sort of let go of that idea that you have to be perfect. Because at the end of the day, when we put ourselves under pressure, it's actually our own thoughts that are creating this. When we worry so much about what other people are going to think or what other people are going to say, or it's not good enough for other people, but in actual fact, it is actually ourselves through our thought processes that put ourselves under. Great topic. Thanks, Kylie. Yeah, I thought it would be, especially after yesterday. And thank you very much for checking. I actually sent Kylie my email this morning as a tester so that she can make sure that all my links were working. So this is, like I said, I'm going to share some really important tips that you can have a look at, because what I've learned to do now is that when I start to have any kind of thoughts that really are not working for my advantage and they are unresourceful for me, that I begin to examine and see what's really going on underneath. So this morning when I got up, I thought, it's time to have a look at some ways, some tips that I can become a little bit more resourceful when I go down that rabbit hole of not being perfect, or not producing perfect content, or not producing perfect emails, of making mistakes. And remember, guys, it is your own thought process. It is you that usually is the one that puts yourself under pressure, because I've had a few comments from people with yesterday's link not working, just laughing and saying, that's fine, don't worry about it, it happens to all of us. Can you send me the link? Yet I absolutely freaked out last night when I found out that my link, after 3 attempts of getting this email to work, still hadn't been embedded and still didn't go through in the email. So let's have a look at how you can stop putting pressure on yourself, how you can stop that cycle of needing to always have perfection, of needing to do things all the time when you don't have time to do them. Good morning, Mariam. Not a problem, not a problem. I'm just about to share some tips, so I hope that these would be some tips that you would like to, hi Terry, like to use. So like I was saying, so I sat down this morning and I thought, right, one of the things that I do, and my groups know, is that I always breathe. But it's important to understand that when you put yourself under pressure, when you do too much, when you say yes to people, it is your thought process that is making you, for whatever reason, have to do so many things. And it is your thought process that, for whatever reason, feels that you can't say no. So if you're the sort of person that puts yourself under a lot of pressure, I think you need to take a step back, do a little bit of what I did yesterday, take some really nice, deep, heart-centered breathing, and focus on what are the reasons that you're doing that, what are the thoughts that are going through your head, and examine those thoughts. I love challenging my thoughts when they're unresourceful. So let's have a look at some of the tips and some of the things that you can remember when you are putting yourself under so much pressure to have perfectionism. And the first one is that nobody is perfect. There might be a lot of people who portray being perfect, or portray, especially on social media, that portray that they are perfect, and that can create a lot of pressure for people on the outside looking in. But nobody is perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody. And so just remember that there is no such thing as a mistake. There is only learning from everything that we do. There is no such thing as failure. The only thing that, if you make a mistake or you fail at something, the only thing that it can be considered failure is if you don't look at it as something where, well, look what I've learned. Because, have a look at a little child who falls down so many times when they go from crawling to walking. So you need to learn from your mistakes. So there's no such thing as failure. It's just another part of the learning process. So remember, nobody is perfect. And if you think that people are, they're not. I can tell you that from, it's just something, sometimes people just portray a perfect vision, and a lot of people that portray being perfect, a lot of the content, a lot of the things that you see on social media from them are not even from them. They have content creators, they have VAs, they have people running their social medias. We all fail if we don't learn. Exactly right, Terry, we do. That is the one thing that you can fail or lose, is if you don't take from the lesson. No, perfect does not actually exist. It's actually a fallacy in our mind that we believe that we have a concept, I suppose, of what perfection is, and we try to go for that perfection. And this is when we start to put ourselves under so much pressure. But what is perfection? Perfection is such a you know, is a word that everyone examines in such a different way anyway. So what is perfection? So what's perfection for me is not necessarily perfection for you. So what is perfection? It's just something that we make up in our thoughts that we believe we need to be a certain way. But perfection does not exist. We are human, and you know what? We make mistakes, and it's okay to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. Like I said, the problem begins to exist when you think that you're the only person that is making a mistake. This is really important, and there's another topic behind that, which is if you do begin to think that you're the only person that makes mistakes, we start beginning to get into the emotion of shame, which is a really incredibly low vibrating frequency. I believe shame, just off the top of my head, is the lowest vibrating frequency emotion that you can have. And if anyone who's watching this wants to know a little bit more about that, Brené Brown talks a lot about shame. So, you know, it's just our thoughts that create this idea or this ideal of who we should be or what we think we should be. And then we go trying to achieve that, and it can create a lot of angst and a lot of suffering for us. So it really is our thoughts that create our reality. The next tip I want to give is to stop creating unrealistic expectations for yourself. This is something that I was so good at. And occasionally, you know, I still go down the rabbit hole of this as well. But nowadays what I do is I actually sit every Sunday night and I have a look at what I'm going to do for the week ahead, and I have a look at whether I've overextended myself for the week and make sure that my expectations of what I can achieve in that particular week are not unrealistic. And even then I go through little bits and pieces, and if people ask me if I can do something or if I set myself a challenge or anything like that, I really step back and think, is this something that is realistic? Can I actually achieve this? And I do like to challenge myself a little bit, but sometimes we create these expectations of ourselves that are just so unattainable, and then we wonder why we put so much pressure on ourselves and kick ourselves when we don't get to those expectations. So I think everything that you want to achieve, all your goals in life that you know you can achieve are accessible, but there are stepping stones. So it's more important to look at the expectations, creating small little steps to get to something big than trying to get to something big all in one hit. So have a look at your expectations of yourself, and are they occasionally being set a little bit too unrealistically for you, for your lifestyle, and for what you do. The next one is stop listening to others. I did a live a few months ago called Shoulda, Woulda, Coulda, which was all about stop listening to what other people think you should do, think you could do, or think you would do. You know, it's easy for other people to be looking in on your life and telling you what you should be doing or you could be doing. You know, it's up to you to decide what is right for you on a day-to-day basis. So it's really important that you allow yourself to set your own expectations of what you want to do and stop listening to others. And with stop listening to others, it's also stop comparing yourself to others as well. Like I said, in this giant wild world of social media, which we are all such a big part of these days, there are a lot of people out there that are portraying themselves to be more than what they really are, and then people compare themselves to that. And because of my business mastermind group, I have a lot of my masterminders ask me, one of the first things when we have our strategy call is, you know, them comparing themselves to someone else. They're doing all of this. How come I can't do that? Stop comparing yourself to other people. Everything you see is not always what it looks like. So stop. You are you. You are unique. Be your unique you. Create your expectations to meet what you can do and what you can achieve and what's right for you. And don't worry about what anyone else is doing. You're better off putting your energy into you and your business than your energy into watching other people and what they're doing and their businesses. Okay. Remember that your thoughts create the meaning to any situation. So when you do have mishaps like I did yesterday all day, and I've been told that Mercury retrograde doesn't even start until tomorrow. I don't normally believe in Mercury retrograde. I think it was more about my my level of skill when it comes to IT and things like that, which I'm learning. We didn't grow up with computers in my age, believe it or not, and everything that I've been learning, all my social media things that I've been learning and using IT has all come from me just learning by myself. So you know what, it's okay to be like that. So it was, you know, when something doesn't happen, it is our thoughts that create what we make of it. You know, it is our assumptions, it is what we believe that other people are thinking about us, which was yesterday. The first thing that came into my head is, oh my God, my whole email list must think I'm so stupid because I cannot even get a link to work, which wasn't the case at all. And if anyone did think that, yeah, great, Mariam, I'm glad you're enjoying that. It wasn't that case at all. And you know what, really, if anyone went through that email, clicked on the link and it wasn't working and thought I was stupid, well, you know what, are they really my client anyway? So it doesn't really matter. So, you know, remember, it's your thoughts that create meaning to a situation, because in life everything is actually neutral, and it's not until we put a thought to it that it becomes our reality or our truth. So just have a think about that, and when you put a thought to a situation, just challenge it for yourself. I've already talked about the next one, but remember, I'm just going to go over it again. Accept that your mistakes are part of the learning process. That is what we have to do. You can't learn without making mistakes. You just can't. So yesterday, myself and Kylie, who is my personal assistant, we learnt something really, really important yesterday about Zoom, that people cannot log into the recording that you've created if you have a reoccurring webinar or a reoccurring meeting. What happens is that if you record that in Zoom and not external to Zoom, people, even though you send them the link, they can't get into it. So this is something really valuable that I learned and that Kylie learned yesterday. So now what I'm doing is all my Zoom, my Monday morning webinars are now individually recorded, so that people can go in and access them later. And I've downloaded all the previous ones and am going to send out, I've put them all in YouTube and going to send out a link to everyone on the mailing list. So it was a really valuable lesson. If someone didn't reach out yesterday and say to me, Kylie was the first one, and then someone else reached out and said we can't get into Zoom, it wouldn't have made me go through. So for me, that was a great lesson to learn, because that will never happen again. Okay, and it was able to be fixed anyway. But imagine if there was I was doing something else that was really important and I didn't know that. I would never have known that and would still keep making those mistakes. So it's okay, or would make a mistake when it was something that I couldn't fix. So really important to understand that. Be in the moment. Remember that you can only do what you can do right now, and don't worry about the future. I said stepping stones. Don't put pressure on yourself about the outcomes of what might or might not happen in the future if you don't do this or don't do that, because really we cannot predict the future. So you can only do what you can do right at this moment, and that's what I adopted yesterday. I quickly realized that there was something wrong, downloaded the video and put it in Google Drive, sent it to a few people. And then last night I decided I'm going to put them all in YouTube, because it's much easier to put it unlisted in YouTube and send through the links, and people can get to them whenever they want. So, you know, it was I was in the moment. I thought, what can I do right now, rather than thinking about, oh my God, you know, what's people going to think, and what's if that happens again, and all those sorts of things. So just staying in the moment of, if you know, of not having to put pressure on myself. This is what happened now. Next time it'll be fixed for next time. And the last one is be compassionate to yourself. Just show yourself some self-love and compassion. Remember, nobody is perfect. It's okay to make mistakes, and don't be too hard on yourself, because really at the end of the day, it is only you that is putting yourself under that sort of pressure. So show yourself a bit of self-love. Show yourself that respect, that, you know what, yep, we do make mistakes and it's okay. Have a laugh, which is something I did yesterday afternoon. I had a cup of tea, and just had a laugh, and I did actually formulate an email telling people that of the day that I'd had, and the 5 things that I did yesterday to allow myself to just take a step back. And one of them was, I just, at the end, I just put my hands up, had a laugh, and went, this is hysterical, I can't believe this is even happening. Walked away from my desk, walked away from the computer, and went and had a beautiful cup of tea, and just sat down, and then came back and went, okay, what now? So guys, I hope you've enjoyed this live this morning. I'm going to take off. I do have a client very, very soon, so I need to get organized for her. Thank you again for watching. Like I said, I think this is the first time I've ever done a really early morning live video. I usually make it in the afternoons, but I've really enjoyed this. It's been great to see some of you on here nice and early this morning, and I might make this a habit of jumping on nice and early. Enjoy your day, everyone. Keep warm if you're down in the south areas of Australia, because it is quite cool here. Enjoy your day, and I look forward to chatting here again and doing another live. If you do watch this on replay, I'd love to know. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate you. Bye for now.